Imagine for a moment a woman of deadly beauty, eyes painted like sharp blades, whispering poison into the ears of a weak king, while the blood of innocence drips down the palace stones, and the sky thunders with the wrath of a forgotten god. What if I told you this isn't just an ancient legend, but a dark mirror of the evil that still creeps into our lives today? Stay until the end, because what you're about to discover might change how you see the evil around you right now. Let's dive into the shadows of ancient Israel, where the air reeked of pagan incense and the wind carried the moans of persecuted prophets. We're in Samaria, around 850 BC, in an era when God's people wavered between faith and temptation. At the heart of it all is Jezebel, the Phoenician queen, daughter of Ethbaal, king of Tyre, a woman whose presence was like a storm gathering on the horizon, beautiful but devastating. Picture the royal palace, its ivory columns gleaming in the setting sun, colorful tapestries fluttering in the warm breeze, but the air inside was heavy, thick with the sweet, cloying scent of exotic flowers mingled with the metallic tang of forbidden sacrifices. Jezebel wasn't just the wife of King Ahab. She was the force shaping a nation's fate, like a sculptor carving with sharpened knives. Feel the atmosphere, torches crackling on the walls, servants moving silently, fearful. As the queen glided through the corridors, the sound of her golden bangles echoing like funeral bells. She brought with her the gods of her homeland, Baal, the lord of storms, and Asherah, the goddess of fertility, cold stone idols that promised prosperity but delivered only spiritual death. Jezebel's first dark secret begins here, not with swords or armies, but with words. Words like poisoned honey poured into Ahab's ears at midnight, when candles flickered and the world seemed small enough to fit in her hands. Why worship an invisible god, she whispered, when Baal controls the rains, the harvest, the life? Feel Ahab's dilemma, a weak king, torn between love for his wife and the call of Yahweh, like a man caught between two opposing currents, being pulled into the abyss. He yielded, and altars to Baal sprang up like weeds across Israel's hills. While God's altars were torn down, stone by stone, the people, confused, followed their king's lead, bringing their children to pagan rituals where frenzied dances around bonfires promised blessings, but left an emptiness that smelled of ashes. Jezebel didn't just seduce a king, she seduced a nation, planting doubts like poisonous seeds. Does God really care about you? This secret is a double-edged blade. She manipulated not through force, but through control of minds, turning a holy nation into a den of idolatry, where Baal's incense choked out prayers to Yahweh. But Jezebel's evil didn't stop at the spirit. It spread like a plague, staining the land with innocent blood. Let's go to Israel, where vineyards stretched like a green carpet under the scorching sun, the air sweet with the scent of ripe grapes and damp earth. There lived Naboth, a simple man with calloused hands, tending his vineyard as if it were a sacred gift, passed down through generations. Protected by God's laws, Ahab, his eyes glinting with childish greed, coveted that land to expand his palace. It's just a vineyard, he thought. Why won't Naboth sell it to me? But Naboth, steadfast as a rock, refused, saying, "The Lord forbid that I give up my father's inheritance." Picture the scene: Ahab, frustrated, lying on his bed, turning his face to the wall like a spoiled child, while Jezebel entered, her robe brushing the marble floor, her gaze cold as a serpent's. "Arise, King of Israel," she said, with a smile that hid daggers. The second dark secret reveals itself now. Jezebel didn't hesitate to use power to crush the righteous, orchestrating murders disguised as justice. In the silence of the night, as the palace slept, she wrote letters with the royal seal, each word dripping with venom. She summoned corrupt elders, men whose hearts had already been bought, and ordered a false fast, a sacred farce to cover a profane crime. Naboth was called to the city center, where he sat, perhaps with a piece of dry bread in hand, unaware of the danger. False witnesses rose, accusing him of blaspheming against God and king. And before he could defend himself, stones flew, crushing his bones, his blood staining the land he loved so dearly. Feel the weight of this injustice. Naboth's vineyard, a symbol of faithfulness to God, now in the hands of a cowardly king, while Jezebel, From her high tower, watch with a glint of satisfaction in her eyes. Take possession of the vineyard, she told Ahab, as if it were a trivial gift. But this secret goes deeper. It echoes in today's injustices, where the powerful steal what is sacred, using the law as a weapon while the innocent pay the price. And Jezebel, deep in her hardened soul, did she feel a void? A whisper that every drop of spilled blood brought her closer to her own end? Or was she so blinded by power that she couldn't see the storm clouds of judgment gathering? Now, brace yourself for the climax, where evil confronts the divine, and the air crackles with bone-shaking tension. Jezebel didn't just manipulate kings and murder innocents. She declared open war on God himself. Picture Israel's hills, now stained with the blood of Yahweh's prophets. Holy men who dared speak against Baal's idols. They fled like hunted deer, hiding in dark caves where the sound of dripping water mingled with their desperate prayers. Jezebel hunted them mercilessly, her fury like a fire consuming everything in its path. The third dark secret is this blasphemous audacity. She believed she could defy the Creator and win. At the heart of this war was Elijah, God's prophet, a rugged man in a cloak of hides, with a voice that carried the weight of thunder. Feel Mount Carmel, where the wind howled like starving wolves, and 450 prophets of Baal danced in a trance, slashing their bodies with knives, blood streaming as they begged for a miracle that never came. Jezebel, perhaps watching from afar, felt her heart tighten not with fear, but with rage. Elijah, in contrast, raised his voice to the heavens, and God's fire fell, consuming the altar, the offering, even the water in the trenches, like a divine roar silencing all doubt. The people fell to their knees, shouting, "The Lord is God." But Jezebel, in her arrogance, did not bow. She sent a messenger to Elijah with a deadly threat. "May the gods kill me if you're not dead." By tomorrow, feel Elijah's despair, fleeing to the desert, exhausted, lying under a tree, begging God to take him. But the final secret isn't just Jezebel's war against God. It's the price she paid for her boldness. Elijah prophesied her end. The dogs will eat Jezebel. By the wall of Israel, years later, judgment came, as precise as an arrow. Picture the final scene. Jezebel, now aged but still proud, painting her eyes with black coal, arranging her hair like a queen, gazing from her palace window. She knew Jehu, the new anointed king, was coming for her. "Traitors," she cried. But her servants betrayed her, throwing her from the window. Her body hit the ground with a dull thud, blood splattering the walls, and the dogs came, ravenous, devouring her until only her skull, feet, and hands remained just as Elijah had foretold. Feel the silence that followed, broken only by the sound of horses' hooves. As God's judgment was fulfilled, the scriptures seal this story with a verse that cuts like a blade. In 1 Kings 21:23, "And of Jezebel the Lord also said, the dogs shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Israel." This isn't just a prophecy. It's an eternal reminder that evil, no matter how powerful it seems, meets its end at the hands of a just God. And now, as we step away from the ruins of Israel, where the wind still seems to carry the echoes of judgment, I ask you, what do Jezebel's secrets reveal about ourselves, her manipulation, her cruelty, her war against God? These aren't just tales from a distant past. They live in the shadows of our world, in leaders who seduce with false promises, in injustices that steal what is sacred, in temptations that whisper to abandon faith. But there is hope, like dawn after a stormy night. The God who defeated Jezebel is the same who offers redemption today to those who turn to him. Feel the weight of this truth. Evil may roar, but the light always prevails. Have you ever felt a whisper like Jezebel's, pulling you away from what's right? Or perhaps seen her shadow in someone around you? Comment below which of these secrets struck you the most. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to dive deeper into the biblical stories that transform lives, subscribe to the channel now, but only if you have the courage to face the shadows. May God bless you, and see you in the next video.